Hello.
Hi. Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing,
I'm
Antonio?
doing very good. A little bit warm.
It is warm today.
Yes.
They're calling this second summer.
I see why. And what are we opening today?
Today, because it is warm, we're having a white, and it's from Grape Creek in the hill country. It's a viognier.
Yum. Wow, this is really good. So also today, we are not alone here.
We're never alone.
That's true. We are never alone. But physically, we have an extra person back here with us, and it is someone who was supposed to be here in the last episode, but he was too busy celebrating his birthday and partying it up.
Which is fine, because we're happy to have you with us today. This person wants to be known as our permanent guest. I don't know what that means yet, but
we'll find
see
out
how it unfolds. So we want to welcome you, McQuain Clovis, from the Caribbean island of St. Lucia. Welcome.
Welcome.
Yeah. Thank you for welcoming me. It's great to be around you guys and to be part of this process.
Thank you. And what are we opening up about today, Bonnie?
We're opening up about resilience
Nice.
today. And so to begin, we have a poem called Be Resilient. Like a red rubber ball thrown against the pavement, bounce to match the resistance. It's not to say that being slammed against the hard ground doesn't hurt. It does. But know this, the harder the slam, the higher the bounce. Be resilient. Like the handball hitting the wall, return with a vengeance and know the joy of velocity, the thrill of trajectory. You may still have the last word of how high and how far you may go. Be resilient. When life slams you down, don't stay on the ground. Bounce, high and lofty. Know what joy we behold as we soar. Pain and sorrow, the slam that makes your heart roar. Be resilient. So our topic today is resilience. So we're going to talk a little bit about what does resilience look like in your life. McQuain, would you like to start with a story of a time in your life where you experienced resilience? Well, first, let's define our terms. What do we mean by resilience? What do we understand by the term resilience?
I think you put it very well in the poem. I think it's having the ability to bounce back after a hardship or going through something difficult and not breaking through it, or not completely breaking, but be able to make it through it.
That it's the ability to bounce back from life's disappointments, losses. It doesn't break us. It doesn't deflate us. We are able to bounce.
Yeah, I really like the point on bouncing back, but I also love the joy of velocity. I think with resilience, it does come with a joy, knowing that you were able to come out of something. Yeah. But then you asked me from my own story,
Yes.
so I would say in terms of resilience, in terms of culture, in terms of, because I came from St. Lucia and came to the United States, and I moved to Mexico and then back to San Antonio. So it's like resilience in how you keep what you know and embrace something new. That's how I see resilience in that very short story that I gave.
That's beautiful. Well, you mentioned that you're from the Caribbean. We all know that hurricanes hit the Caribbean more often than any other place. This season, thanks be to God, it's been a very quiet season. Would you be able to see how resilience plays into just being alive on the islands?
Well, on my side of the island, which is the south, hasn't been hit so hard in terms of when the hurricane comes. But I would say that the community aspect, I think, brings forth that resilience in terms of how persons know we all are in this together, and it's not just me alone. And if somebody's struck down or if somebody's roof flies off, then you would find the whole community coming running to get, to get the people out of the house, or maybe even trying to help them in terms of in whatever they need at that time. I think that's where the resilience comes in, because we all know that there will be a time when the hurricane will come, and we don't have a choice, and that's something that prevents the country from developing as much as it wants, because every time it always has to go back and redo the things that it has done. But I think the community aspects of during the time of the hurricane season is one of the huge thing in resilience. It's not knowing that I'm not alone, knowing that you have other persons who say, we see you and would like to help you. I think that's one of the aspects of resilience that I have seen.
That's beautiful, that you're not alone, that you have the community to rely on, and everybody pitches in and helps people who need the help. That's really beautiful. It's a good life lesson.
It is.
How about you, Antonio? Have you experienced resilience in your life?
Yes, I can think of touching on a little bit of what McQuain had talked about when he started talking, the relocation or moving from one place to another, which we do a lot of that in religious life. But before I even joined religious life, when my family and I moved to the United States almost 17 years ago, it was kind of unexpected. My father was dealing with a lot of health issues, and everything in life was very uncertain. And we came to the United States for a few weeks to be with him as he processes retirement and whatnot. And then those 6 weeks have now turned into 16 years. And so it was having to adapt to a new culture, to a new lifestyle, to a new school, and not having the opportunity to properly say goodbye in Mexico, though I could go back and whatnot, but just it was a radical change that I didn't know was happening, because we didn't know how long everything was gonna take. And when we had the conversation with my family, it was just saying, we're going, it might be 6 weeks, it might be 6 months, we don't know, we're just trying to see how this goes, but we'll figure it out. And I think of resilience not just in the terms of bouncing back, but also the ability of adapting to new environments. And so when I had to go to school in the United States, I was supposed to go into my junior year because I was 17. And when I went through the registrar's office, and they said, well, we don't know how to give you credit for anything you've done, so you're going to have to do all of your credits as if you were in 9th grade, which meant I had to do summer schools, I had to do credit recovery classes, and whatever, just to be able to catch up and graduate in 3 years. And I had to learn English along the way. But I think often about my second day of school, where I was leaving school and I didn't want to get on the bus because I was kind of worried about getting on the wrong bus or somebody asking me something. So I just decided to walk home, which was about a mile and a half, but it was in the summer, so it was pretty hot. But thinking as I was going home, how stressed I was with the language, how I didn't understand anything, and this is not what I had expected for my life, because I hoped that to finish my high school in Mexico. And so as I was walking, I just felt so stressed out that I started crying because I don't want to be there. But then fast forward 16 years later, being fluent in English and being able to do all of my higher education studies in English, and to be successful in English, it's very interesting, and I think like a good testimony of saying, wow, I was able to make it through that.
It sounds like all of those challenges that you faced have actually come to serve you,
right,
in your current life. So
yes.
While you were going through it, you didn't see the benefit of it.
Not at all.
But that's the benefit of hindsight, right?
Yes.
When you can look back and see how it really was important that you went through that, because it helped to shape you into the person that you are today.
Precisely.
So what about you, Dr. Bonnie?
Well, I was thinking about several instances of resilience, but I decided that I would go way back to my childhood and the first time that I realized that resilience is a good thing. So I was in third grade. We're talking a long time ago. And the grade school that I went to, it's closed now, but it was, at that time, it wanted to offer a talent show. And there was a cash prize as the number one prize. And I had set my mind on I was going to get that prize. So I decided I was going to sing a song. One of the teachers, one of the sisters, was the pianist, and so she was my accompanist. We practiced. It sounded good in rehearsal. The actual day of the talent show, the microphone, first of all, was set too low for me, so I had to scrunch to be by it. But then the sound went off. So, so I was trying to sing this song, and we were in the auditorium at St. Gerard High School. Mm-hmm. There were several dignitaries in the audience, including my parents and my family. And the mic went out. And needless to say, I didn't win that first prize. So I was so disappointed and crushed. I had this expectation that I was going to win that first prize. So the way that I handled the disappointment was I first told God, okay, I'm not talking to you because you made all of that happen and I didn't appreciate it. And then I realized, okay, well, it's not God's fault that the microphone went out. And I missed praying because, talking to God is a daily thing. So I said, okay, life has disappointments. I'll get over this. And my 9-year-old self eventually did get over it. So, but that was a first example that I can think of resilience. That I felt crushed. Yeah. And realized, oh, okay, things like this happen in life. It's okay. Yeah.
I thought it was very interesting when McQuain was sharing about the hurricanes because he brought in the sense of community, and I was thinking about a few years ago when we had COVID. Because that's something that all of us experience as a society, and it was a time where it was uncertain for everybody, and it was uncharted territory because we had never experienced anything like that, and it was a time that brought about a lot of losses that hopefully we learned from it, but then when we were able to make it to the other side, I think maybe it helped us in society somehow, maybe reshape the way we think, or even perhaps caring for other people, how we see community, the sense of helping one another be part of it.
I think I'm hoping that is a lesson that we took from COVID. When we were going through it, I noticed things that I didn't like about us. I noticed we were like throwing adult temper tantrums. Yeah. And we were practicing hoarding. That's and yes. I was like, wow, I thought we were better than this. Mm-hmm. And I saw other things happening too, but you know how media attention does go to where the worst is happening. Right. Yeah. And sometimes we can think, okay, that's the totality of things that are happening. But I do think that as we grew out of it, I think we grew into an understanding of the need for the community to come together, for compassion and empathy to be a part of who we are, and realizing that we have to be cautious for the sake of the other, to do the loving thing. Maybe I didn't want to wear a mask, and maybe I saw it as a political statement, but then if I thought about what if I was responsible for giving COVID to someone who died, how would I live with myself? And I think that brought about maybe a resilience in compassion and understanding.
Totally. I agree with you and Antonio. It did bring a great sense of isolation, I think, with because everybody was afraid of getting the virus. And when we look at it in terms of how maybe we say kudos to the nurses and the doctors, I think they did a wonderful job. How they handled the situation, because there's countries who had a lot of persons who like died. But that sense of coming out of it did bring that, oh man, let's get together. Let's do something together.
Yeah.
Can we come over, because then persons found ways to, either they were in the balcony or in the yard and having conversations. I think that was a great sense of resilience, I think, for us during that time.
I think
Yeah.
also the use of technology blossomed
Right,
during that time.
yeah.
I would have never thought that I could teach on Zoom. I always thought, oh no, for pastoral studies, you need to have people in the room.
Yeah, I agree.
And then I realized, okay, well, it can happen this way, and so it taught us
Right.
that the way that we had been thinking isn't the only way to see things. That
Yes.
we can broaden our vision.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the thing that we can learn from that is that resilience, as much as it is work of ourselves and within ourselves, it doesn't just happen within us. That sometimes we do need to reach out to people, and that we do need help, and that we can ask people for help. The other example that is more of like in a poetic sense is I don't know if you've ever heard. It's a poem by, I don't know if it's a poem or a song by Tupac. It's called "The Rose That Grew on the concrete" or something like that. And he talks about how this rose was able to make it through a crack in the concrete,
Mm-hmm.
and to make it, and it be in opposition to flowers that grow in a greenhouse, for example, that are, perfectly in an environment that is safe and cared for, and so you don't have to worry about it being cold or warm or whatever, because the environment just provides everything for it, as opposed to a flower that has to struggle through changes, whatever. And you see it, for example, in flowers like the wild flowers. I mean, they just make it through everything. And then the plants that you have at home, if you water them just a little bit more, they'll die. They're not as resilient. And then you have all these other plants, and you're like, Jesus, they go in San Antonio for 3 months without water, and then the next year they just come back again like nothing happened.
It's amazing.
Yes, that's a lesson we can learn from wildflowers.
Well,
It
that's
is.
what I tell my flowers when I plant anything in my yard. I say, okay, if God takes care of you, you'll live. It's like, don't count on me. I don't have a green thumb. But their resilience is incredible. The wildflowers, especially in the springtime, the state flower, the bluebonnet,
Yeah.
and then the Indian paintbrushes and the Arapaho blankets and all of those beautiful, and then sunflowers. My backyard, I let them grow, and they are absolutely beautiful, resilient. They last a long time too. All they need is a little rain, and they come back beautiful.
Yeah. And for the people listening at home, McQuain and Bonnie, what advice would you give them in terms of whenever you're facing a setback or a conflict, any problem in your life that requires you to be resilient or be strong? What would be some practical steps to consider taking? I think we could start in saying pause, and so you can analyze everything, and then consider that, how can I move forward?
I think based on your example of the flower coming out of the concrete in the little crack, I think it did take patience for the flower to grow there or to get the space. So I think doing things one step at a time and knowing and maybe praying to God, because that example that you give, Antonio, it resonated for a lot of us in terms of our struggles in our lives. And if we take things one step at a time, and if we go to prayer and we pray to God, asking God to help us, or we seek help in terms of that community sense, then I think we are able to be resilient in the struggles that we face.
Absolutely. I agree 100% that take it one bite-sized piece at a time. Be patient with yourself when things are difficult. Recognize when it's time to reach out to someone for help. And recognize that you're not alone, that all of us are struggling with something. And it may make it a lot easier if we open up to each other about the struggles that we're experiencing, and that way we can show that we are in solidarity with one another.
No, I'm very glad that you talked about reaching out to someone, like don't be afraid of acknowledging that you need help or that you cannot do something on your own. And I think a step to take before you have to reach out to someone is to be able to build a network, ahead of time, to recognize who are the people that I can trust or that can hold me when I'm falling apart, that I can just go to them and they don't expect me to just be always this happy, bubbly person or whatever it is that people are used to seeing of you, but that you can break in front of them and ask for help. But it takes time to build these relationships. And maybe even another side of it is that whenever we're going through something, it's never in a vacuum. So a lot of times you're maybe breaking and you have tunnel vision where you just see the problem that you have in front of you. So maybe taking a step back from that and maybe doing journaling or writing things that you're grateful for to help you recognize that, yes, this is affecting me right now and it's in front of me and it's the only thing that I can see. But if I take a step back and can think of things that I'm grateful for, I can realize that there are blessings in the midst of all of this too, right?
Yes.
I agree.
We can find God in every aspect of our lives, everything, including the difficult.
Yeah.
So for our listeners today, I want to offer a little challenge. If you would think about the role resilience has played in your life so far, and how does that bring you closer to God and to others? So encouraging you to take it to prayer, to maybe journal about it. There won't be a test.
Good, because I'm going to test right now.
Just a suggestion.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you. Yes, and we encourage you to continue to listen to our podcast. Thank you to everyone who's listened and who's liked it or who's commented on it in any way. And so we'll see you the next time. But before we go, I wanted to ask you about that first poem that we heard today on resilience. Who is the author of that poem?
That would be me.
Good. Very good. Thank you very much. And we want to remind our listeners that you do have a book signing coming up
On October 25th at 2 o'clock at the Barnes & Noble on San Pedro at Isom.
Yes. So we hope to see you there. Thank you, McQuain, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll see you all on the next episode of Open Up.
Yes, we will.
Bye-bye.
Bye.